Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Black Knight Gaming. We're here today with another priority mission. This is another campaign mission for our BattleTech campaign Let's Play. It's only 2 skulls. It's actually a little bit easier than some of the last battles that we've been doing, but it's also more complex. There will be more objectives than just to take out the opposing lance. It is on a polar biome, and we have a couple new, updates and improvements to go through before we drop. So the Vindicator, one of our later mechs, even though it still has one large laser and a couple mediums, even a small, is being piloted by Decker, who has recently reached piloting 7. Piloting 7 gives increased sprint distance, so this Vindicator should be a lot more mobile and much better flanker than it was before. We've given our other increased sprint distance pilot, Lich, here, to the Quick Draw SRM, with the idea being that this mech has been taking a lot of fire in our last engagements, and we still want to move it up aggressively, but we can hopefully now do that with some longer range sprints, get a little bit better evasion, and get some better survivability on something that can still pull fire in that front line. Quick Draw is being piloted by Archangel, who recently, having reached Guts 6, has an increased overheat threshold. So this Quick Draw LRM has been running a little bit hot, and having Archangel in here with the Guts 6 ability should cool that mech down. Well, not cool it down, but let it run even a little bit hotter than it was before we have reduced fire in our volleys and reduced capability for our lance. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so we've dropped here on Panzyr, and we're going to be just moving up toward the first of our 2 objectives. This first objective being to destroy a couple garrison units, which is then quickly followed up by destroying the dropship control center before reinforcements for our opponents arrive for the Oregon Directorate. So we'll be moving up first with our Quick Draw SRM, making good use of that increased sprint range, and careful here, because it is a little bit hard to see from our initial angle, to have that mech move down to where we can move down this ramp next turn. So the Quick Draw LRM will take another sprint position down here, but taking a little bit of cover in these trees. And if you'll notice, that's one SRM carrier, a Bulldog, a second SRM carrier, and those carriers are all lightly armored, but they hit really a lot harder than you would think. So we will be trying to take those out as quickly as possible, hopefully stepping on them with our nice medium mechs. So combat is initiated, and we have only 5 rounds to destroy these 5 units. That said, they are all vehicles, so that shouldn't be too hard to do, but we've accidentally blocked ourselves in, so our Quick Draw is blocking the way to this ramp, and I think what we're going to do is reserve to keep all of that nice evasion on our mechs. So there are 3 more vehicles moving at this initiative, Initiative 2. This one here in the back, the Bulldog, and 2 unknowns that if we were looking a little bit earlier we might have been able to see them, but alas we weren't. So let's go ahead and get the Quick Draw SRM and see what we can do. I think the best choice right now would be to push a little bit aggressively, come up right here on this SRM carrier and see if we can take it out all in one go. We need to drill through the side, or the front. Only 45 armor, so we will need to get several hits to cluster, or a couple lucky SRM shots. And it does look like we take that SRM carrier off of the field right off the start. So that's one of the enemy vehicles down, and now we have a chance, well, we have a couple decisions to make. So this Bulldog, well, that's not the best accuracy with those medium lasers. I wonder if it would be a better idea, since the Vindicator is farther up, to move something that has a better long-distance shot and more evasion first. So if we move here, we have a nice shot on this other SRM carrier, and it is those carriers that I'm really worried about, so we will fire in here. Double AC2, triple medium laser, and you can see here the amount of SRM 6 fire we will be taking if and when those SRM carriers are able to open up would just be devastating to whichever mech takes that volley head on. So we're bouncing back to the enemy turn, and now our Quick Draw SRM will hopefully be demonstrating why he is a frontline mech, and I swear, the enemy units are just so lucky with those stray shots, a couple landing on the Quick Draw LRM, the long range variant, and stripping an evasion pip. Luckily we have quite a few on that mech. Standing by. Excuse me. And now we can move up with Decker here in the Vindicator, And I think what we'll do is we'll come up, we'll fire at the striker. Well, so the Bulldog has a large laser, double SRMs. What I'm more concerned about, though, is taking a shot at something where the missing evasion pip will be felt more the next round. And seeing as that other excuse me, seeing as that other vehicle is about to move, it would regain, or rather gain, new evasion pips after that movement. So our quick draw SRM takes a face full of fire, but is holding for right now. Let's see, nothing really too drilled through, the right arm taking some damage, but that's better than a torso by a long shot. So let's go ahead and move up the quick draw SRM, oh sorry, the quick draw LRM, and we have a nice shot on that striker, so I think we'll take it. Move up to the side, open up fire on that striker, and just see if we can finish the job without needing something next turn. And we aren't able to do it. That armor becoming very low on that last vehicle, and now the quick draws SRM left side taking a lot of fire. So this is the downside to rushing in like this, but it is one of my favorite strategies for taking out this mission, simply because if you let those carriers shoot, you're in for a much rougher time than if you just get it over with. So we will be coming up with the Vindicator 1R, and I think, well, do we want to shoot? We could shoot at the striker. We could stay planted and shoot at the striker, or we can move up a little bit closer. Yeah, so we're going to move up a little bit closer to that striker and open fire with the large triple mediums and the small. So this should hopefully, yep, takes that vehicle out. And now we have the heavier mechs able to move up and step on those tanks at initiative 2. So they may move first, they may move second. It looks like there are some enemies off the map right now that are taking initiative 3 movements. So we'll move up the Blackjack, open fire with double AC2 triple medium laser, and it may be worth taking a precision strike to slow this vehicle down. I want to be able to step on it next turn, and I want to be able to move this quick draw so that it doesn't take another withering volley of fire. So I think we will do that. I'm not really hoping to destroy this vehicle here. Not quite enough firepower coming in from the Blackjack, although we do get a structure exposed. And now we have first move with the quick draw, and that quick draw is just going to run up and step right on that Bulldog, hopefully able to put enough damage all in one location to destroy that vehicle, and we don't quite get it. We get a vehicle, oh, we get a structure exposed, and luckily there is something else moving. Only 2 internal structure left on that Bulldog. That's very unfortunate. This is why I'm not super pleased with quick draws as heavy mechs. They have one of the lowest melee damage values, I guess, of any of the heavy mechs. I'm decently certain. And that really does come as a pretty decent drawback. I mean, a dragon or something like that that punches for 60 to 70 per strike could have bowled right through that vehicle in one hit. And now we have to worry about all of that fire coming in on the quick draw LRM, which previously had been in pretty good shape, but now I'm a little bit worried about that left arm. Potentially even left torso, and because I've said left arm and torso, of course all the damage does go in on the left leg of that mech, and in order to save ammunition, we could step with the Blackjack. So front armor down to, well, 0, and internal structure exposed. I think it might be a better idea even to move around and step with the Vindicator. Let the Blackjack move up, get into a better firing position, and the Vindicator, piloted with that extra sprint distance, will be able to catch up and pass the Lance if need be. So we're moving on to our second objective. We have 12 more rounds to destroy the dropship control center, which sounds like a lot of time, but we will have some stiff resistance as we move down into this valley. So coming up with the Blackjack, we will sprint. We're not in combat anymore. Well, we might be. We do still have the initiative indicator, and it looks like, yeah, we are still in combat. So the quick draw SRM has taken more damage than I'm comfortable with. So we'll move the LRM up with a sprint over the side. I'd like to get some use of these dropships as cover as we focus our firepower down in this location. And now we'll take the quick draw SRM and really make sure we have good evasion. I'm almost tempted to come up and around the side here, although that would have been better positioning for the LRM quick draw. Well, worst case we can come back and around or go down on this right-hand side and flank. But the idea is I want the height, I want the evasion pips from sprinting, and I want to be able to see them on sensors, but let them move into visual range first. So the Directorate now, well, okay, we got vision on all of that. So there's a Panther, there is a Jenner, what looks like maybe, yep, that's a Dragon. Trebuchet, Centurion, that Trebuchet is going to be opening in with some, well, LRM-30, so 2 LRM-15s, and there is an AC-20 carried on that Hunchback. So we have 11 rounds to kill a singular building back here, and we do have additional support coming in from these turrets, but that may not last very long. So what I'm kind of concerned about is these turrets will draw fire for the first couple rounds potentially, but as soon as they're done drawing fire, they'll also no longer be adding fire into taking out this lance. And as it is right now, I'm less than comfortable with our ability to pound through any of these mechs rather quickly. We've always been more of a bit of a game of endurance in some of our other battles. So what I'm tempted to do is to move the Blackjack up to where we would be able to fire potentially with those double AC2s on this dropship control center building, but we need to be a bit forward for that. So for right now, I think we have good evasion on the Vindicator and the Quick Draw, and I want to let them move first. They have decent evasion, and more importantly, I don't want them firing on us until they have to. So the Hunchback, especially coming up with that devastating AC-20, will be an issue. And now we'll be moving up. First, so the Quick Draw could come around here and get a nice angle of fire on that Jenner, although with relatively horrible accuracy, and I think that is what we'll do. So this Quick Draw will be focusing on the Jenner, hopefully the Panther after that, although that PPC is definitely deadly, and we'll be coming in with a precision strike for the accuracy here on this Jenner. It might be our first focus fire target, and I don't want it to be pretty, I just want this thing to be out. So we'll focus on the high chance to hit that CT, landing a lot of the medium lasers and the SRMs. I'm a little bit hopeful that that structure exposed might be on the CT of that mech. The Dragon coming and shooting in at the Quick Draw looks like just with a little bit of LRMs, but we do lose an evasion pip from that, which will make him less resilient next round. And indeed, we did open up the center torso of that Jenner, although we're not really in a position to follow up on it, which is a little bit worrisome. So we'll take the Quick Draw LRM, and I think, okay, so not much is really within our range. So it becomes more of an issue of what do we want to annoy rather than kill. So let's see, could we shoot? Yeah, decent chance on the Hunchback, better on the Trebuchet, but I'm a little bit more worried about that AC-20 just making our day really sad really quickly. So I think we will open fire on that Hunchback. Potentially should have done that with the LRMs first, but we do land at least one. It looks like both of those shots. Yep, both of the shots with the AC-2, so that worked out pretty well. And now we can move up the Quick Draw LRM. Getting 4 evasion pips for a relatively short move, which is nice. And we have a bit of a decision to make. So shooting it in at the Jenner would potentially allow us to slow it down to initiative 2 next turn. In fact, what we could do is take a precision strike, slow it down to 2 now, and then next turn come in and hit it again, bring it down to 1, really guarantee that we have that hit. But there are enough of the enemy forces moving at initiative 3 that I'm not concerned with getting the drop on that mech if it is in turn 2. So I think we will do that this round, just to drop it to initiative 2, let our Quick Draw here finish it off with another volley to that CT next turn. We will only need, I think, 2 medium laser hits and some lucky laser fire, but, well, so the turret's coming in, and unfortunately going after the Jenner, which I say is unfortunate because I would have really much rather that they focus on things like the Trebuchet, which is taking some light fire, and a couple other mechs back here like the Dragon that we hadn't already put a pounding on, because all of that rear structure exposed from that Jenner is basically value we didn't need if we're able to core it out next turn. Although ripping off the arm is nice, that will increase our chances of pounding into that CT, and the Quick Draw does exactly what I didn't want to have happen. So our Quick Draw SRM did take that PPC shot, reducing its accuracy, really drilling through its armor pretty well, which is quite unfortunate. And now we have a couple choices to make. I don't really want them focusing fire on the Quick Draw anymore, so we will move up, get good evasion with the Vindicator. Well, okay, my problem is I don't really have a nice shot. They're all outside of medium laser range, and because of that, I think we will let them all move first. This could be a bad decision. It will let that Jenner move, which is exactly what we wanted to prevent, and tried quite hard to prevent, mind you. But I need to pull this mech back. I need to really drive forward and be able to land good hits with this next round. And if we're outside of the range that we need to hit them with those medium lasers, that could be an issue. So the quick draw takes an AC-20 round, and, well, man, I really don't want to lose glitch. So it was just the right leg, and we don't have anything in there. The SRM ammo, fortunately, is in the left leg, so we could try left facing. We have pretty good armor left, well, no pun intended, on that left-hand side, and there's still one. So there's the dragon moving on initiative 2. So because of that dragon moving on initiative 2, what we will do is we'll come up here, we'll left face. I know I said we'd retreat, but we really need to push right now, and if we push, coordinated with the fire coming in from those turrets, we could end this engagement relatively quickly. So we'll come in, we'll fire at the Panther, and we'll see what we can do for taking its gun maybe off the board, taking something off the board to give us a little bit of a respite here. That hunchback is a definite problem, but we get more evasion pips, which saves us from devastating fire from that dragon. And now we can come in with Archangel, and we have, oh, that is wonderful. We have lots of medium lasers on the hunchback, more specifically on the right side of that hunchback, and that right torso does carry the AC-20, so if we can rip that off of that mech, that would be absolutely amazing. So we'll come in first with the Vindicator, and we'll open fire. Less firepower now, so the evasion pip that we strip off of this hunchback will help us with our accuracy on the quick draw LRM, which will move very close. I'm tempted to see, okay, so we get a third evasion pip for that one extra movement hex. And we can come up firing with 90s into the side of this hunchback, and it is tempting to take the precision strike, but if we did that right now, we'd lose 50% resolve, so I won't do that until we're firing in with the blackjack, the last mech for this round, because then we'll pop up above 50% again as the next round rolls over, and simultaneously slow this mech down to initiative 2, if we can get an angle. So we get an angle. That one doesn't have the medium lasers, neither does this one, and I'm a little bit concerned that we actually don't have the range that we need on that mech. Yeah, we don't. So we'll come up here, only one evasion pip, or we could get 3. Yeah, so let's get the 3. And even though it is less than ideal, we can aim for that damage right torso, 50% chance to hit. 1 miss, 1 hit, a little bit less than fortunate, and no structure exposed. So now let's see what those turrets can do for us. Pounding into the Centurion, coming in at that Dragon, another at the Centurion. That's lots of misses though, which is less than fortunate. And that Jenner, CT destroyed, pilot incapacitated. That's where these turrets are really coming in to play, because if we were going 4 against, well, let's see, what was that? That was 6? 4 against 6 with us having a timer would be quite hard. So the PPC coming in does miss our quick draw LRM, but we do lose an evasion pip for that, and now the LRM seems to be drawing most of the enemy fire. So the Vindicator, I think now it's time for that to move up. Hunchback is moving at initiative 2. We could slow that down even more, but I don't want to do that quite yet. I think what we should do is come up with the blackjack and get him nice and close, and then the Vindicator will move up. I just blocked my own way. Well, that is unfortunate, but we'll be opening fire on this hunchback, following up the Vindicator, and that's a lot of scatter in places we don't need. Apologies. So the Vindicator, no, okay, so the Vindicator does have a path to move up. So we'll come up on that hunchback and do a precision strike here, and and we have a very high chance to hit that right torso, which only has 40 structure left, so of course we probably won't get it, but we may as well try. And we do destroy the right torso and the right arm. That AC-20 is off the battlefield, which is quite reassuring. I don't really like how fresh their dragon is, but there's not much we can do about that right now. The left facing on the quick draw SRM really returning dividends here, as that left side takes withering fire that might have even destroyed that right side leg. So our left side now a little bit scant for armor, quite a bit scant for armor. That's kind of concerning. So we have a couple choices. We can come in and we can right face, which will expose the leg but give us our more heavily armored right leg and torso, or we can do our best to just hightail it out of there. And I think right now the choice is to hightail it out of there, because we have lots of turns. We have 9 rounds remaining before that building needs to be destroyed, although we are partially through round 9, and we're making good progress working through those mechs. So I'm tempted to say, let's just be a little bit safe for now. He can always come back in and counterattack. And now we can open up fire on that Hunchback, which only has 30 armor left on its CT, and no right arm or right torso blocking the way. So we'll move down here. That would be inside the range for those LRMs, as would right here. This is where it gets tricky with those longer range weapons. Making sure you have good evasion and good accuracy while you're on the approach can be quite difficult, but we want as much evasion as possible. So if we have bad accuracy, we may as well go all the way in for it. We're still firing with great accuracy with those 4 medium lasers, and hopefully this will be enough. And that's a lot of orange lighting up the board. We destroy the right leg, head hit, so that mech is not out of the battle. It will pop back up on initiative 1 when it rolls around and it's its turn, but that should make it a nice sitting duck for those turrets if we get lucky, and we get even luckier than that. So the pilot, taking 1 injury from the right torso, taking 1 injury from the head hit, and taking a 3rd injury from being knocked down, is knocked unconscious, so that was just a rookie pilot. And the turrets are really doing a number on that Centurion. Now, I've very rarely seen the enemy mechs focus so much on our lance first. They usually do go in for some fire against those turrets for this reason, because if they turn their backs, those turrets just go to town. So the Trebuchet having one of its arms ripped off, the Panther with some structure exposed, landing a nice PPC hit, and really the only mech that's still entirely healthy for our opponents is that Dragon, which is their heavy, coming in with an AC-5 and an LRM-10. Double medium lasers. So let's see if we can do something about this Trebuchet. Or potentially the Centurion does have a very nice shot on that exposed rear if we can get it. So the Vindicator, it's tempting to do a punch for the stability damage. Well, our heat is fine, so let's see if we move up this way. Yeah, okay, this is the right choice. So we'll move up this way. We'll open fire with absolutely everything on the side and potentially back of this Trebuchet. You see how far we can drill into that CT. That's a lot of orange. And that Trebuchet is still up, but I would be surprised if it's long for this world. So the Centurion coming around, getting a nice sensor lock on the Vindicator, which is a little bit worrisome, but this is why we up-armor that Vindicator to begin with. And now the Blackjack, because that Trebuchet didn't move, our Blackjack has a wonderful shot. I'm a little bit... I don't really want to put him any closer to that Panther. This Blackjack is not meant for frontline combat, but that shot is just too tempting. So we'll open fire here. Hope we can core this mech out completely, and it's very tempting to take a precision strike, but we are firing from the front, and without those 2 other pieces in the way, this shouldn't have the worst odds in the world, and we do core that mech out entirely. So now we're down to 3. A damaged Centurion, a lightly damaged Panther, and the Dragon. It's the Dragon coming in, opening fire, and thankfully missing with that AC-5 with a quick draw, but pounding in a couple missiles. And this is what I was waiting for our own counterattack. So they've all moved. And our quick draw LRM can now sort of come around this side, I think, maybe take a shot at that Centurion. Well, I'd hope to get better accuracy. But maintaining a direct line of sight on that Centurion is not the easiest thing in the world. Alternatively, we could come down here with this quick draw SRM, and I think right face for now. We'll stay in the woods, and we will partially right face, with the idea being we might lose the leg, and losing the leg would be a nice way to lose the mech, that's true. But so is losing that left torso with the SRM-6, or the left arm with the medium laser. They could equally well bore through this way, and we do still have 52 internal structure remaining on that leg. So we'll right side face, more to the Dragon really than the Panther, and I think the shot on that Panther is too tempting at the moment. So SRM ammunition in that exposed torso, the PPC unfortunately on the right arm, and that Dragon It really doesn't have the most armor, but I think we will go in for the Panther first. So let's open fire there, see what we can do. And then we might go around or drive through this way with the quick draw LRM, and that Panther is knocked down. I think we will drive up this way with the quick draw LRM, see if we can't finish that mech off, or at least take some of its weapons out of the fight. So we'll come up, we'll get 3 nice evasion pips well inside the short range of that LRM, unfortunately. But it might almost be better to have both the quick draws with the SRM loadout from how they're being used, but we can take a shot at that Panther. I wish the accuracy was better, so let's see what this can do. Yeah, that does help quite a bit, and we have some choices to make. We have excellent accuracy on that CT, but it is heavily armored, and if we aim for that right leg, well, it has almost as much armor, and the problem is we only have a 30% chance to hit the right leg and a 70% chance to hit that center torso, with good odds of scattering up to that, well, mostly damaged left torso. So let's go for the left torso, see if we can't set off an ammunition explosion, which at the very least will take the SRM offline, leaving the PPC. But that's 2 pilot injuries on that mech as well, and now it is time for our turrets to join the party yet again. So that's a lot of fire coming in on the Centurion, a little bit more on the Panther, not enough to kill it, it looks like. But his SRM was critted. Well, it's kind of irrelevant. The SRM doesn't have any ammunition anymore. And I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the fire coming in from those turrets this time. So that is a bit unfortunate. I think we're leaving some of the range for these shorter range turrets up here on the upper left. So the Panther pulling itself up on initiative 3, which is a little bit unfortunate. They only have 7 more rounds to take out that building, but I'm not really concerned. If we can get through what remains of these mechs, 1 or 2 rounds of concentrated fire should be able to take that building out. Let's see if we can see now how much structure it has. We can't quite, so it is a bit of an open question, but the Vindicator, well, so we could get the Vindicator around and let that mech start taking some shots on that dropship control center a little bit early. I am also kind of wondering, we might have to come up this way to get a shot, which is a bit of a funnel. That's a little unfortunate. So we do have a shot on the Panther here with, well, the medium lasers at long range, or we could get a shot at the Centurion with significantly better accuracy, but really less of a chance of doing anything. But the Panther has moved, the Centurion hasn't yet, so let's see if we can take maybe some of its guns offline before it has a chance to move this round. We score a medium laser hit, we aren't able to take anything out, unfortunately, but okay. So we should be able to get good evasion on that quick draw, but it will be the Dragon's turn next. So, well, unless we open up on him. So we could do a precision strike, slow that Dragon down to initiative 1, and let both of our quick draws move. So I think that'll be what we do, just to try to save those quick draws a little bit. And we have now a 5% chance to hit the head, and I'm willing to take it. If we are able to get a pilot injured, anything that, well, that way would be nice, but of course we miss, barely even doing any damage to that right torso, which is carrying the AC-5 ammo. So getting a nice explosion there would be very helpful, but we aren't quite able to get it. So the quick draw, it's not really great damage on that melee, but I want good evasion. So let's move right up close and personal, right side face, and just light them up, point blank range with everything. And if this doesn't drill through the CT, I don't know what will. So we take that Panther out, just 2 mechs remaining for the opposing team now. And we have still the quick draw LRM moving. It's really tempting to see if we could melee, but the Dragon is a better melee combatant than we are. Well, we do get 3 evasion pips for moving here. We might just do what we did before, move up right close and personal, and fire in. So the LRM has awful accuracy from this range, but, you know, hopefully we can land. So we miss 1 of the medium lasers, but we land the other 3. We get a structure exposed, which is nice. And hopefully those turrets will be able to help us out a little bit. So the Dragon coming in, successfully punching our quick draw LRM, stripping an evasion pip, but it doesn't look like structure exposed yet. This is why we have 2 frontline mechs, potentially 3 with the Vindicator kind of filling that role a little bit as well. And the Centurion, was that just me or did that? Yep, that mech lost an arm. Coming in, looks like 2 PPC shots, the other arm going down, and that Centurion is well worse for wear. Some light fire coming on the Dragon, not enough to do any significant damage, but I would be really surprised if that Centurion lasts more than 1 or 2 more rounds. So the LRM-10, which I think might be its only remaining armament, did take a crit there, not destroyed. Coming in at the quick draw, well, so it does have some medium lasers, it looks like, either in the CT or the torsos, probably the torsos. Well, one torso is still up, LRM-10, so it does look like 2 medium lasers in the CT, but all of this is exposed, which is very nice. So we can come up with a Vindicator now, and we're not in the best position. This is, well, that's a ramp, but it's just a, well, not a ramp we're allowed to use. No, that's a door. Okay, that's why. So we'll come up with the Blackjack. We don't have a shot on that Centurion, but the Centurion has already moved this round, so we don't necessarily want that shot either. We'll come up here, shooting in at the Dragon. That right torso is exposed, but I want to preserve our accuracy bonus for our other 2 mechs. So we'll come in, scattering damage, unfortunately, all over that Dragon, but we do, now that we didn't aim for it, get a head hit, which should, well, it doesn't look like that dropped him down in initiative anymore, which is a little bit concerning. But I think we do need to start moving up, now that we only have 6 more rounds, to that dropship control center, so that's the Vindicator's job. And that Centurion, we might leave it to get taken out by the turrets at the end of this round, hopefully. So the AC-5 missing, but we do have structure exposed now on our second quick draw, which is a little bit concerning, and now it's our turn to go. So that left arm is exposed. Okay, so the quick draw SRM coming in, its left side is heavily damaged, so we want to right side face as much as possible. We will do that. I'm counting on the Centurion being taken out by turrets, so we might come to regret that. But let's open up with everything on the Dragon. Maybe we'll get lucky, and that ammo explosion will do more than I think. Well, we do lose the right torso there and the right arm on that Dragon. Well, we don't lose it, they lose it, but let's see. So, left arm damaged. Okay, so right side facing isn't bad here either, so I think what we'll do is we'll move up, really counting on that Centurion being taken out, and we'll open fire on the Dragon yet again. So, coming in, quad medium lasers and the LRMs, and it's not quite enough to take that Dragon out. It's a bit of a tougher mech than our quick draws, I would trade, although the Dragon 2 is outclassed by a couple other mechs, potentially things like the Orion, which is just really one of my favorites. So that Centurion is taken out by a nice PPC shot to the CT, and that does let the Dragon start taking some more damage from those turrets, although it is still standing for the moment. 17 structure remaining on that CT, so Blackjack will be opening up fire, and this will hopefully be enough to take it out in one go. We will use a precision strike now. There's not really anything else left on the board at the moment, so we are able to core out that Dragon. Not the best salvage from that takedown method, but we only have 5 rounds remaining now to handle the dropship control center, which I think should be fine. We'll have at least 2 or 3 firing in with that Vindicator, and we can start moving up to quick draws as well. So move up the quick draw LRM, move up quick draw SRM, and well, I guess now it's a bit of an objective rush, but I'm quite confident that battle really went better than I had feared. It's actually rarely gone that smoothly for me before doing this sort of fight. So we'll move up the Vindicator. We have visual now on the dropship control center. Only 100 structure. Yeah, that should be very easy to take out. So we'll move up the Blackjack. We're really just kind of getting around to the next round at this point. Moving up the quick draw SRM as far as we can. And I'd be surprised if we don't have an indirect shot. Yeah, it looks like we do. With the quick draw LRM. So it's only an LRM 10, but that is, that's as much as 40 damage, probably closer to 30. Coming in on that building, and it looks like most of those did land. So it's coming out with the Vindicator, and this shot should be enough to take it out, and if not, certainly the other quick draw will be able to finish the job. So we take out that building, all the enemies are off the board, and we'll be right back with the mission reward screen. Okay, here we are. So 1.7 million coming off of that priority contract. Really excellent paydays coming out of these missions. And we do have some light internal structure damage to both of our frontline mechs. Hopefully we'll be getting a 3rd or 4th heavy relatively soon, and we can cycle out some of these quick draws. I'd actually rather keep the Vindicator in play for right now. It is nice to have a somewhat faster mech, at least for the later skull missions. That way you're not always moving last. But let's go ahead and see what salvage we have. So, Centurion, AL, the Dragon part, which we have currently 0 out of 3, or we could go for the Hunchback 4G. So The 4G does come in with an AC-20. There's not really, by the look of it, any rare equipment salvage. SRM-4 plus 50% crit is nice. Better crit seeking is always welcome. These SRM-6s are coming in from those carriers. So I think the choice is still mech parts, and what we might do is we'll take the dragon part, and then from there I think we should take the Hunchback 4G. This will complete the mech, and now that we have 2 mech bays available, we will be able to store it just as a backup for if we have something else take a beating and we need to field another lance, as well as some variety, because we've been fielding a lot of similar lances for the channel recently. Yeah, so we'll be right back with potentially another mission. This is not really running that long, so at the very least we'll do something else. We might head over and explore. We recently got the invitation to the black market and paid that fee, which is always fun. But we can take a look at the black market, see if there's anything nice and juicy there to pick up, either for custom weaponry or for potentially another mech. Alright, lots of weaponry to be expected. AC-20 ammo, but no AC-20, which is a bit unfortunate. So for those of you who aren't so familiar with the game as of yet, which is probably small considering, when you get the black market event, it happens while you're in transit, just like any other event on the Argo, and you have to pay a fee based off of whether or not the pirates like you, which was why we were working a couple pirate contracts before and trying not to take any against them. Once you do have that mission, well, not that mission, but that event completed, you can go ahead and take a short hop to any of the planets with this black market symbol, and we'll probably be hopping over here to Mechs. Mechs is a 2.5 skull mission. It is mostly the restoration and pirates, which we wouldn't really want to fight against pirates, but our other choice, well, our only choice that doesn't have us fighting against pirates or local government is moving back to Herotitus or moving farther away to Sacramont. But I think both of those planets are fielding missions that are a little bit too light for us at the moment, so we will be kind of swiveling now to work for the Arano restoration. And since we already have access to the black market, that's not the worst thing, but as the pirates start to dislike you more and more, you do run the risk of them raising their prices, and by run the risk I mean they will raise their prices. So we will try to still take as many contracts as we can for the pirates against the Arano restoration, or at least to try to keep it balanced. So now we'll be traveling to Mechs, and we'll pick back up when we've arrived and have opened the store, so you guys can see with me all of the nice goodies that we can't afford as of yet.
Calculating course now,
Alright, so we've touched down on Mechs and opened the store, and as you can see there are now 2 available stores, one for the system and one for the black market. So if we start off with the system, here we have standard array of parts, nothing really too impressive aside from maybe the one Stalker part. The Stalker, one of my favorite early assault mechs, coming in, able to put on a lot of LRM fire from that and use it as just a ridiculous heavy fire support platform, although the 3F variant maybe more a little bit designed for lasers than I would like. But standard array, well, some good things here with the Exchanger Plus, which is nice. Minus 15% weapon heat and a heat bank. We might need to look at those two a little bit closer once we've looked at the black market. But now we get into the real goodies here. So 3 Annihilator parts, and we could actually afford to buy and build our own Annihilator right here and now, and that option is quite tempting. We'd have to forgo some improvements to the Argo for a little while, but that might be worth it. Or we could go in for the awesome 8Q, which is, well, lots of PPCs. It's a good time. The Annihilator is one of my favorite mechs, coming in with just so many nice ballistics. I think this one looks like, yeah, quad AC-10, which, you know, is heavier firepower than anything we have right now by far, not to mention the quad medium laser backup system. But the BSC system is what makes this mech unique, with plus 20% ballistic damage and plus 40 max stability. So this thing is just a walking, well, tank, I guess you could call it. So the awesome 8T as well. This is just a couple different hard points compared to the 8Q, a little bit less of an emphasis on lasers, more flexibility with missiles and supports. And so that's a Banshee we definitely can't afford. And Banshees are kind of awful assault mechs as well, at least in my opinion. there's better options for the hardpoints and the weight class. Lots of good Highlander parts, and that is very tempting. So removes the autocannon, replaces it with a PPC. Let's see. So there's a Star League Highlander. This would cost us, well, 6,300,000, which is pricey. We can't afford it quite yet, but now you guys see why I was so excited to have black market access. These are all double heat sinks coming in, so much better heat sinking ability and just much better firepower that's going to be coming off of this mech. There are, in fact, twin Gauss rifles. 75 damage coming in both of these things with relatively long range for what it's worth. Jump jets coming in, we'd probably lose those for a little bit of armor, but that is a little bit outside of our price range at the moment. And now we get into the goodies for weapons and equipment. So we come in here to weapons, well, AC2 triple plus, +4 accuracy. That's just incredible. Napalm missile launchers. Okay, Inferno rockets. Well, it's one way to shut down an opponent. Now, overheating in this game as opposed to in the BattleTech mod does work a little bit differently, and these Infernos would basically scatter internal damage all over the mech, so I'm not really sure I'm a fan of that, but it could be nice. SRM 6 triple plus. Oh man, +4 damage. Bringing that 8 up to 12, just wow. And of course my absolute favorite, ultra auto cannons. So no. Is it a little bit heavier? Yeah, well, okay. So this one's a little bit lighter, -2 tons, +10 damage. So this UAC2 would just make our blackjack much more deadly. Instead of firing in with 2 instances of 25 damage, we'd have an instance of 25, 2 instances of 35, still probably enough ammunition to be fine, but the UAC5 might be a better choice. So wow, we could even potentially pair these, have the UAC2 and the UAC5, because both of these have the minus weight specialty here. It is the same weight as carrying 2 AC2s, which is just absolutely incredible. And the reduced recoil here is relevant because there is increased recoil on these UACs. Wow, okay, so range very long, range extreme. So I might return to this. They are pretty cheap. They'd allow us to upgrade what we have. Or we could go in for some equipment. So, melee stability damage up, resolve gain, max heat, and DFA. I think the best choice would be this Annihilator here. But before we do that, let's load into the contracts. It would be nice to see if we can afford that SLDF mech with all of that sweet equipment. So, carrier. It's working for pirates, which is nice, but the payout is awful. 400,000 or 5 salvage. The 5 salvage is nice, and it is working against Taurians, so let's see. What's the best payout? So high tide. Yeah, 3.5. We can't survive that, especially as an attack and defend. There would just be too many mechs on the field for us to handle. We could potentially do a 3-skull battle. We probably take some pretty severe damage from that right now, though. This looks tempting. 2-skull attack and defend. Wow, again, quite risky. And if we go for max salvage, we'd lose out most of the pay, but there would be enough optional objectives here that we would be able to get a decent payout from the max pay with the additional objectives, the bonus objectives that increase your pay. So I think right now what we'll do is we'll probably go in, I guess, for the Annihilator. The nice thing about the black market is that SLDF mechs are relatively common, and I think if we get the Annihilator up and running, we could definitely run some higher skull missions to make things a little bit more exciting here for the channel and really just chew right through that storyline. So we'll be back next time with an Annihilator, hopefully, and a couple other surprises that I have planned. Thank you all for sticking around this long. If you do like this content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and just spread the word if you can, if you feel like more people need to see this. And we'll be back next time with another episode. See you real soon.